Jiro here for Umbra Games with a review of the Banner Saga, played on PlayStation 4. The Banner Saga was released on PC January 14th, 2014, and released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One nearly 2 years later, January 12th, 2016. The game was developed by Stoic, which is 3 former BioWare employees that left the Star Wars Old Republic MMO and fired up a Kickstarter for this Viking-themed Oregon Trail/tactical RPG hybrid. I feel like that's the best way to sum up this game in a sentence. Anyway, the Banner Saga 2 is out now, released on July 5th, 2016 for PS4, and a few days before that, I believe, on Xbox One. It's so difficult to stay on top of every series I'm interested in, but hey, better late than never, right? So you know those journeys you take in old traditional JRPGs to go to a dungeon or find a new town? That's where the bulk of the Banner Saga takes place. Your caravan of troops and civilians move across a set path through a fictional map and stylized backgrounds, being chased and constantly surrounded by thickly armored troops known as the Dredge, who stop at virtually nothing to try and extinguish life of both human and Varl. Varl are a species of giants that humanity used to be at war with until the creation of the Dredge. Now, it's unclear when you start the game what your ultimate destination will be, but for this game especially, it's all about the journey, not the destination. While your company heads from place to place, random events will occur, either trouble within your caravan, an external source of agitation, or some enemy encounters. You often have multiple actions to choose from to try and avoid fights or face the confrontation head on. Sometimes you don't know which choice will do what. Some of these decisions felt like moving a pebble by throwing it off a snowy mountainside, only to have it roll into an avalanche and watch it crush the town below. Once a battle does begin, you're shifted to a 2D isometric battlefield. I know that's kind of a conflicting statement, but you're playing with flat two-dimensional sprites and you can't rotate the camera. You take a party of up to 6 members of varying classes, each with a unique skill, and take turns moving your characters around and attacking. There's several things to note about the Banner Saga's battle system, the first being the uniqueness of the strength and armor bars working together. Your blue armor bar will help reduce the amount of damage a character takes to their red strength bar, which serves as a dual purpose of hit points and attack power. Did you catch that? The lower your HP, the less powerful your attack gets. If your attack isn't enough to exceed a target's armor bar, then and only then it has a percentage to miss. Skills are usually set to do strength or armor damage or both, but your basic attack function, you get to choose which to aim for. This presents an interesting level of strategy in that, sure, you can't do quite as much damage to an enemy with their armor high, so your first instinct may be to lower that armor as much as possible. But as long as their strength bar is up, they will be doing more damage to you as well. The second layer that covers this is that you always alternate turns. For example, if the enemy had 10 troops and you have 6, it doesn't make a difference. Your turn, then enemy turn, your turn, then enemy turn, and so on. Keeping this in mind, sometimes a useful strategy is to reduce strength evenly across the board. You're going to get attacked anyway, so you just do your best to ensure that when an enemy strikes, it doesn't hit as hard. If you left 2 powerful enemies as the last 2, they're going to get to move a whole lot more often. Once you or the enemy have 1 unit left, pillage mode ensues in a more traditional tactical RPG sense, where everybody gets a turn per round. Willpower also plays a role as both something your abilities consume, and you have the ability to exert on a given turn, adding +1 for each willpower to armor or strength damage. This leads into how you level your characters. Instead of traditional experience, characters get promoted to the next level by body count. So to reach level 2, someone has to administer the final blow on 2 different targets. After that requirement is met, you have to pay for the level up by using Renown, the game's currency. Renown is gained by dialogue decisions you make, as well as a reward in battle. Every promotion, you can add 2 points to your character's 5 stats, and maximum for each stat is based on class. Armor, strength, and willpower max, as well as the total amount of exertion per turn a character can use and their armor breaking ability comprise the 5 stats. Each character can be promoted to rank 5 max. Additionally, you can find items along the way, rarely dropped by enemies, purchased in markets with renown, or as the result of a dialogue choice. These items will boost your stats conditionally. So the flip side of using renown to level your characters and buy items is the fact that each day your caravan continues, it requires a certain number of supplies to make sure people don't die from starvation. Supplies cost varying amounts of renown depending on the town's marketplace you stop in, as sometimes resources are scarce as people are slaughtered or run from the dredge. While you don't lose characters permanently when they go down on a battlefield, on normal difficulty and above, they will be injured for a set amount of days, reducing their starting strength should they be put back on the battlefield before healed. You can force your caravan to camp so your party can recover at the cost of a day's worth of supplies. Now your caravan is comprised of clansmen, fighters, and varl, and the bigger it is, the more daily supplies it takes. The advantage to a large caravan is the war situations you encounter, where you're forced to break through lines of dredge. You can intimidate or rely on your troops to mathematically pick up where you're struggling. The balance you have to strike in order to keep morale up, people fed, and party members healthy is almost stressful at times, especially when some event goes unforeseeably wrong, like rotten rations or people stealing extra. This is one advantage the Oregon Trail had, is you can just stop and hunt for food when your people were hungry. Now you have to rely on your choices and encounters, or sacrifice leveling up your party to keep everyone fed. So the Banner Saga brought up several feelings while I was playing it. I know in some of my Dying Light review commentary I talked speculatively about human nature in the time of certain doom. Would humans be as cutthroat as they're often betrayed in zombie apocalypses? Apocalypsi? Anyway, when faced with an overwhelming enemy and a shortage of supplies, how do people truly react? Well, the choose-your-own-adventure style conversations in the Banner Saga leaves you guessing. In my case, I felt I often guessed wrong. The only saving mechanism is autosave, so once you make a choice, you're stuck on that road, figuratively and literally. And in so many RPGs, it seems like the right way is often to help people, and the wrong way is to attack them. While playing, I made choices that I would personally make if I were actually in that situation, and I'm kind of guessing I should never lead a fictional fantasy Viking army across a continent. My choices took my caravan through times of starvation, angry riots, and even a pretty severe betrayal. While you can't lose characters permanently in the battlefield, they can die or leave through the dialogue events. It's especially upsetting when it's someone you've trained and spent renown to promote. Overall, the game took about 10 hours to complete, not including the multiple attempts it took me to finish the final boss. There's a PlayStation trophy for completing 40 battles in a single playthrough, and somehow I didn't get it. Probably because of a personal choice or two of not wanting to rebel and slaughter non-dredge troops here and there. But 10 hours and not having 40 battles, I hope that kind of illustrates the amount of reading and decision making you have to do. I enjoyed the story personally, but I don't view this method of storytelling as a bad thing at all, but I do know it's not for everyone. The writing is very well done and heart-wrenching at times, and there were several shocking revelations. I really got into it from that perspective. I think one of the neatest parts about this world is that histories of people and clans get embroidered onto the super long banners that you see, and the caravan carries them, flapping in the wind. I did find the shift in narrator a bit jarring a couple of times, not so much in that you begin with two different parties, but you actually switch narrators in one of the parties, and with a constant second-person narration, when the you changes unannounced, I kind of resisted because I didn't want to be that new character. I'd barely settled into the first. The character art style immediately felt to me like the Lord of the Rings animated movie from 1978. I remember that movie freaking me out as a kid, but thankfully I'm not a kid anymore. Well, mostly. I'm not sure I've seen this style used since then, so it really kind of makes the game stand out on its own, and it's pretty refreshing. The soundtrack is very nearly Celtic sounding, with great orchestral accompaniment and some atmospheric vocals done in a foreign tongue. Aesthetically speaking, this game just found a great niche. If you enjoy good, non-typical fantasy stories and don't mind reading a bit, as well as enjoying some thought-provoking turn-based combat, then I highly advise you give the Banner Saga a shot. While the results of its decision-forcing gameplay can leave you a bit frustrated at times, hey, welcome to the real world. Rated as a tactical RPG, the Banner Saga lands at a 60 out of 100. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Watch me fail in my attempt of keeping up with every game ever made by subscribing to the channel or following me on Twitter @Umbra Games.